Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Morphing Tower podcast. This time, at the top of the episode, instead of a normal paper memo like I usually have, I actually came across this small tape cassette, and I'm just going to slip it into the player that's attached to every terminal. I don't know why there's a cassette deck option on these terminals. I don't know. They just really need to be updated or something. But I'm just going to play this voice memo real quick. It has a name on the side of the cassette, says Mr. Sleeper. I don't know what this is, but here we go. I'm gonna hit play.
To those poor souls that linger here amidst the twisting architecture, to those wanderers whose bones have not found rest, I am ever your silent advocate. I see the horrors that surround you, and will devise a clever means for your escape.
Oh, delightful! Wonderful! So great, now instead of memos, I'm getting strange cassettes dropped everywhere. That's great. I'm joined today by Dylan. Say hello, Dylan.
Hello.
And so kind of a cool thing to start off. Obviously, you and I know each other. We know each other outside of this office building. But I've got to be honest, this place has so many employees. I had no idea you worked here too. So what the heck do you do here?
I do plumbing here.
Oh, nice.
I am currently in the bottom of the bottomless well. You know where the bottomless well is?
So that's what I fell into. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that makes so much. Okay. I was wondering why we were at the bottom of a shaft or chasm.
Yes.
That little tiny pinpoint of light up above us, is that the top?
Yes, that's the top. I go down here all the time. It says the top up there.
What are you doing down here at the bottom of the bottomless well?
Plumbing stuff.
Oh, okay.
18th floor bathroom not working.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a memo, I think, about the 13th floor men's bathroom. Some big problem. They didn't tell us what was even going on. I mean,
yeah, that one wasn't fun.
Yeah, that's when you know it's bad. Well, before we hit record here, I was, I do a little bit of research and I always try to find something interesting to talk about or just something fun that I found. And I don't even remember what synapse in my brain fired that reminded me of this, because I felt like I had heard of this before. But I did some research on it because it brings a smile to my face. Are you familiar with office chair racing?
Vaguely. I don't get up to the offices very often.
Oh, well, right. Well, don't worry about this, because this is, I think it's over 10 years old, and is an actual event that takes place in Japan. So I'm going to read to you from an article from, I always forget how to pronounce this website. Reuters? I don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm not sure.
But here's part of the article. Hanyu, Japan. The rattle of tiny plastic wheels echoed through the normally sleepy streets of Hanyu on Sunday morning as the small city of 60 kilometers north of Tokyo played host to the Japan Office Chair Isu Grand Prix. Founded 10 years ago and inspired by Formula One and Le Mans endurance racing, the race sees teams of 3 battle it out on ordinary office furniture across 2 grueling hours to see who can complete the most laps of the 200-meter course. Propelling the chair backward was the universal tactic employed by the racers, who were at least spared the added constriction of business dress with competitors choosing their own outfits. The 3 team members rotated during the race, Le Mans style, to try and stay fresh, but in the dense summer humidity, it proved a tough battle for even the most experienced racers. The series, which started as a race in Kyoto in 2009, was the brainchild of, Tsuyoshi Tahara, and will feature at 10 different Grand Prix events across Japan this year.
Wow. You said they do that in the streets?
Yeah, they just
shut everything down and
yeah, they just push their chairs around, and it's like it's wild. Like, I had no idea this was a thing that existed, but I'm so glad that it does, and I can't explain why.
Well, it's Japan though, so
it's true. I would just love to like imagine visiting Japan accidentally on like a race day.
Yeah.
And you're just like walking through the street and you look over and there's just like crowds of people wheeling themselves around on office chairs and you have no idea what's going on. It'd be amazing.
What are the people who live in that area? They're just like it's another normal Tuesday for them.
I don't know. Like it says they've been doing it for 10 years. Like it's such a niche idea, and I mean, to
Yeah.
some extent, I see the appeal. Who doesn't like to wheel around in an office chair? Like, everyone loves
Yeah.
that. It's the idea of being like, no, we're gonna make this like Le Mans, where you have to like exchange drivers.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Look at like what is it like for NASCAR where they have like the pit crews and stuff? They get the wheels changed and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. Change out the tiny little plastic wheels.
Yeah.
You pull into a pit stop. You
Yeah.
got guys down there with screwdrivers.
You gotta replace the bottom of the chair, like they've sat in it for so long. They gotta get like
The
a new,
seat.
like a fresh pad in there. And
Oh,
stuff.
it's so sweaty, so gross. They got to replace the chair
It's
covers.
like ripping and stuff. You can see like the foam coming out of
Oh yeah, the nice little seat padding is like
Yeah.
destroyed.
it.
Dude, down hills and stuff, as long as it's not like cobblestone or like brick streets, that would be so much fun.
Well, the chair would spin too because it's an office chair. 'Cause
I
it
know, I
spins-
know.
You're gonna go like a full 360 down the hill.
I know. The chair would be
Right.
moving in one direction, but you would be like spinning,
Yeah.
which would be very interesting.
Well, then you're gonna go down in a spiral too, because you'll go if you're spinning around, it's gonna like mess up the weight of the chair. You'll go down the hill like in a spiral.
I would kill to watch one of these races, dude. I want to see one so bad.
I'm sure they have them recorded.
I need to find footage. That's the found footage I need. I don't need anything creepy. I just need office chair races.
Just with like a big red circle of like a guy going down a hill.
Breaking through the tape at the end. They hand him a gold
Exactly.
trophy that's just an office chair.
Yeah.
All right. So, question for you.
Yeah.
What kind of video games are you playing nowadays?
I cut down on what I play as much. Like I don't play like stuff all over the place anymore. I keep up with everything, but I really cut it down. So like right now, my big go-to game is Destiny 2. It's kind of just like is like my default game to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, past that, like I'm playing the new Zelda right now. I'll play. I got what is it called? Plate Up, I think is what it is. Like a little roguelike kitchen cooking game.
Okay, nice.
So that I've been trying to play through the Mega Man Battle Network games because they remade them and they put them out on like PC and everything. So I'll rotate between a couple things, but Destiny 2 is kind of my core.
Destiny 2. So I played the first Destiny, and
Yes.
one of the things that I found compelling about it, I actually really got into the story. Like the campaign, I actually really enjoyed because I know that based on the information that I heard from people around the time that the first game released,
Uh-huh.
was that since it had Bungie's name attached to it, a bunch of Halo heads were real butthurt when the game
Yes.
came out and it wasn't a Halo game.
Uh-huh.
They thought it was too grindy. They didn't like how you had to keep going back to the same locations, etc. But like, if you just play through for the first time doing the campaign, and
Uh-huh.
you're not so focused on like grinding necessarily, but just enjoying the pacing and the story, I actually really liked it. So the second game is definitely on my list of things to try. What about the second game do you like?
So I always liked Borderlands, like Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, loved all those. Even though 3 story is awful, but that's not important. Loved all the Borderlands games. I actually never even played 1. I took a chance on 2 and loved it so much that I played like pre-sequel, all the spin-offs and everything. So Destiny's kind of like a weird hybrid between like something like Call of Duty or like a more traditional shooter and like an RPG shooter where it's
Hmm.
it's like most of the guns in the game it'll have like a very specific name, like it'll be like I'm trying to even think of one. What's the new one called? I don't even remember what it's called, but there'll be like a gun. It'll be like a super blaster or something like that. And there's multiple roles you can get with the super blaster. So you get a super blaster that's better at playing against other players. Super blaster that's better at like PVE enemies.
Gotcha.
But overall, it's like this weird mix between it's not Borderlands enough where like every single gun is extremely unique, but like my super blaster might be different than someone else's super blaster just a little bit.
That's actually really cool because it adds that variability to your play style and your game
Yeah.
experience. Because something that I know about myself is like I can deal with a game that's extremely like excruciatingly linear. Like I can handle that
Uh-huh.
so long as that there's some level of customization with how my character looks, the
Uh-huh.
outfit they wear, and the weapons they use. Like even in that sense, I'm more likely to enjoy a linear story
Mhm.
so long as I have some level of control over some of those secondary things, because at least then I feel like I'm getting a fresh experience that's
Yeah.
solely my own. You know, nobody's played the game exactly the same.
Uh-huh.
And so like I have to work on that because otherwise, I don't know. I don't know where that instinct came from to like avoid games that are super linear like that.
Uh-huh.
But cuz they can have merit, you know, there are plenty of games that are extremely linear that are, you know, like people love.
Yeah.
But any game that I can like customize stuff, I am all for that.
I think some of it's got to do with replayability too.
Ooh, good.
That's
Yeah.
that's a big thing because it's like if you play a linear game, like you know what to expect if you come back to revisit it.
It's like rereading a novel.
Yeah.
It's not going to be different the second time you
Uh,
open up the book.
yeah, it's like watching the same movie again. It's like you already know what's going to happen.
Okay. Well, something that I know about you because I had the privilege of having you briefly in one
Yes.
of my D&D campaigns many moons ago, and it was delightful having your orc there. He was an orc,
Yes.
right?
I think half orc.
Half orc, that's right.
And wait, I have the paper still. I can't see it from here. Was it Grog? I think.
I think
I
that
It was
sounds
something
right.
like that. I based them off of the Critical Role Goliath from their very first campaign. Just kind of like wanted to do something similar.
It was a blast having you in there. But something that I got thinking about this like a couple days ago when I was trying to come up with, you know, potentially like a fun little segment we could do.
Uh-huh.
I finally came up with everyone's favorite part of the show, real or fake D&D monsters. All right. So I have assembled a webpage of weird D&D monsters, and I have
Okay.
thrown in a couple of my own creation, and it will be your job, based on the name and a description, whether or not it came from my brain or whether it's an actual monster from D&D.
All right.
Are you ready?
Go ahead, fire them away.
Okay. First one, Grell. Another creature that's mostly a brain, a Grell is seemingly a half bird, half jellyfish creature.
That's real.
You are correct!
Does
Grell
that
is correct!
did you recognize the name the second you said the description? I was like, oh, I know what that is.
You probably can see the illustration in your brain.
Yeah.
Okay. Next creature. The Sturga. A Sturga is a horrifying cross between a bat and a mosquito. True or false?
Ooh. I think that's one's false. I know there's a like a mosquito-esque demon monster, but I don't know if it's crossed with a bat.
True or false?
I'm gonna have to go with false.
The Sturga or Sturge is true. It is a
Uh,
D&D monster.
is it that like the mosquito? What is it? It's got like an ability to like buzz its wings and make people like unconscious or something. I forget what it is.
I will pull up a picture here on the
Yes.
terminal of what it looks like.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different one.
Yeah, I can even pull up the actual like official description of what it is underneath. I'd never seen
Huh.
this one before. It's weird looking for sure.
Interesting. Like now that you send me the picture, like I very vaguely remember seeing it somewhere.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised considering, you know, it's a well-known fact that you sleep with the monster manual under your pillow at night.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. It is actually. It's in like arm's reach of me right now.
At
I
all
keep it, like
times.
at all times. Yeah.
Ah, of course. Okay. Next one. Bandersnatch. Dragon-like in appearance, but walks on two legs and has two wings that are too small to lift its body.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go false on that one again.
You are correct. I
Okay.
made it up.
That one I was
All
like,
right.
I don't know.
Okay, another one here. True or false? Yaklol. A Yaklol looks just about as weird as its name sounds, at least in its true form. The creature is described as a tower of yellow slime with a single malevolent eye.
Ooh. I'm gonna guess false again on that one.
It is true! The
Wow.
Yaklol is real! Another one that I had never seen before.
Interesting. What book is that one from?
The website I'm getting this from, I'm assuming this is like across a lot of books. I don't know if it's
Okay.
necessarily the base monster manual or not. This is, I think, a list of just like the wildest ones, probably across everything. That would be my guess.
Gotcha. I just never heard of that. I was like, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
some
what
of
is
these are really obscure. And the last one, true or false, the Chatterbox shares physical similarities with the Mimic. These creatures make their homes in small objects like barrels, boxes, shells, or bags, and are constantly making noises like distant voices, and they attack their prey with long, barbed tongues.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to cheat a little bit here because you said you had two false, correct?
Did I say that?
I think so.
I don't remember saying that.
Maybe you
That'd
didn't.
be wild if I did that.
I was gonna use process of elimination here and guess that it's probably false.
You are correct. I made the Chatterbox up. Did I seriously say I made up
You
two
might have.
somewhere?
I
I
can't remember now. I think you did.
Did you? Do you have ESP? Are you cheating?
No.
How did you know there were two false ones?
I could have sworn you said something.
That's so weird.
We'll have to run the tape back afterwards.
I need to look and see if I did
Yeah.
something as dumb as say how many I
let's
made
check the
up.
logs here. Let's see what happened. I don't know why I knew there were two. I'm pretty
Wow.
sure you said something.
You're really good at this game. No, that does it for real or fake D&D monster. You did a good job.
Next week I'll be the next monster.
Next week I'll be on the list.
Yeah.
That's not ominous at all.
My ESP powers.
Yes, your
ability to
psychic
guess.
abilities. If you were a Pokemon, what would your what would your mix of powers be?
Am I going like types?
Yeah. If you had like two types.
Gosh, I'd probably go ghost for one of them.
Okay.
Let's see, what else would we do? I want to say like dragon or something, but no, we gotta go like something not as cool. We can't double up with like the two coolest ones here. That's too much. You know what? Let's do like ghost fairy. Let's do something fun.
Ooh, Ghost Fairy. That's fun. I was always the one Pokemon game that I've actually played. My buddy introduced me to the franchise by having me play Pokemon Emerald.
Oh, okay.
And
I was
picked.
so worried you were gonna say like one of the newer Pokemons. I was gonna
No,
I'm so
but
sorry.
I did pick Torchic for
Uh-huh.
Emerald because I thought it looked cute, and then the starting area is all water,
Oh,
so it it didn't go very well.
Torchic is a good this is one of the better ones to run though.
I like Torchic. My favorite character in the game, or favorite Pokemon in the game so far, is Wingull.
Wingull, yes.
Yeah, I love Wingull. And like my buddy who I was playing it with, he was getting so frustrated because of how many times I would spread the XP out to my unimportant Pokemon. He'd be like, "Stop swapping them out for the weak ones. You're just supposed to
I'm gonna be
power
honest,
up the strong
it's
ones."
much more fun playing Pokemon that way. Don't stack all your XP on a single Pokemon. It's not fun.
I spread it out, and I
it.
literally was sending as much XP as possible to Wingull because I just freaking love Wingull.
Speaking of that, did you pick up the cicada Pokemon that's early on in that game? I can't
What?
remember what it's called. Let me find it. Hang
I
on.
was just gonna say, what would the name of that be? Because my lineup was like, it took us forever to find Rawls, or what's it called?
Rolls.
Yeah, it took us forever to find
Yes.
one of those, and then uh trying to think what other like interesting or special ones we even had during that run.
Um,
I think it's called an Aeron or whatever, the ones that looks, it's like
yeah.
a metal type that looks,
Yeah,
its
the little
back,
metal guy.
yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
its back looks like an ocarina.
Yes. Like his third form's pretty sweet. It's Aggron, I think.
I know so little about, I'm like
If
Pokemon stuff.
you uh Nicad, I believe is what it is. Nincada. It's like a little it looks like a nymph of a cicada.
I don't think we got one of those.
He's
Granted, I haven't played much past. Okay, hold on. Nincada?
Nicada, yes.
Oh,
It's got a lot
okay.
of like a ninja side to it too.
That's a really cool looking one. It almost,
Um
it's like a weird cross between
it's
oh
one of
gosh, like a
the
blooper from Mario and a
yeah,
bug.
it's I never knew this for the longest time, but I highly recommend picking one up. Pick one up. Make sure you have two empty slots in your Pokemon party. Like get rid of like put two Pokemon in the PC. Get
Yeah.
it to level 20. It's one of the only Pokemon in the game that splits into two Pokemon.
What?
Yeah, it's one of the only it's such a unique Pokemon and people don't talk about it. It splits into two Pokemon. It splits into the cicada and the shell.
That's so interesting.
And then on top of that, the shell is super cool. The shell is a Pokemon that has 1 HP, but its ability prevents it from getting hit by most attacks. You have to hit it with something that's super effective, otherwise it doesn't take any damage.
Oh, I'm seeing it now. Okay, it's Shedinja.
Shinin, yeah, Shininja.
That's such an
I've
interesting idea to make like a different Pokemon out of like the molt
yeah,
of of the other one. That's such a weird and interesting idea.
that Pokemon generation is the one I grew up with, and I never even knew that was a thing until more recently. But you have to have two slots open, otherwise I think you just get the cicada, and you lose the shell.
I think Sableye is probably my favorite across the board, like like from a design perspective.
Yeah,
And I like the fact that it doesn't evolve. I actually like that. I think Sableye is like the cutest, most fun-looking Pokemon.
one of my new favorite Pokemon is Dunsparce, just because of the he
I
got an
know.
evolution
Okay,
recently.
the same friend who I was playing Pokemon Emerald with, Avery, who
Uh-huh.
I've had on the podcast before. That was one of the Pokemon I had to blind draw just based off of like some of the Pokedex entries.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, my version, I'm actually somewhat proud of how close I got in
Uh-huh.
some respects, but not in others. Yeah, Dunsparce is the little it's the little flying one with the drill tail.
Yeah, so it's the little what is it? It's based off like a Japanese mythological creature. It's like a uh like super chubby snake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, it got an evolution in the recent Pokemon, like the new Pokemon. It got an evolution, and I started using it. And the evolution is interesting. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, all right.
It's not what I expected, but I still love it anyway.
Yeah, here it is. Here's the comparison.
Yeah,
But
sort of. You
yeah,
got
I mean, they're very, very, very faint similarities, but not.
you got the eyes right. At least you get the eyes there.
The
You
funny
get the
part was
drill.
that specifically the eyes was completely accidental,
Yeah.
like not even planned at all. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm gonna play those games someday. Oh gosh, there was a game that came out recently that I heard about that was like a kind of a Pokemon knockoff that I heard that people actually really
Um,
liked.
there's a couple. So I played. There was Temtem, which I didn't play, which was like an MMO kind of thing. I don't know much about it. Koromon came out, which is actually really cool. It's a really good kind of reimagining of what Pokemon could be. The only other one I know is Cassette Beast, which a friend of
Yes,
mine has
that
been
was the
playing.
one that I heard
Yeah,
about.
I've only heard a little bit about it, but it's like you kind of like morph into the monsters instead and stuff.
I mean, I'm all for like Pokemon having some competition, so it forces them to
Yeah,
like do something more interesting.
especially recently. It's been a little rough recently for Pokemon. It's
Yeah,
nothing's.
I don't think that open world is necessarily the right venue for Pokemon necessarily.
I thought it was the right direction. I just think that other aspects, like I really think they need to redo their battle system. I know it's been like they've been using the same system since the GBA has come out, and they've just tacked stuff onto it. But they really need to do something new, something fresh.
Right. And like with a lot of open world stuff, I'd be curious to hear what you have to say about this. Specifically with a lot of Switch games that have come out recently, they tout open world, but as my friend Zach so expertly pointed out, open world means nothing if there's nothing there. Like,
Yeah.
because like there's nothing wrong with Pokemon having open world so long as there's actually stuff for you to do, and it's not essentially just
Uh,
a landmass simulator where you just run around in green fields and there's nothing.
yeah. There's a weird balance between it where you do need some open space to like move around or to like make sure it feels like you're traveling or
Right.
that sort of stuff, or to like give vehicles value and different things like that. But yeah, there needs to be enough stuff throughout it that like it feels worth walking around in.
And it's a difficult balance to strike for sure. Like I don't
Yeah.
envy like game creators who have to tread that line between like we want to have an open world experience where, you know, exploration is possible, but you also don't want to make it so bloated with nothing where it's just like air.
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, we can say, look at how big our overworld island is. But
Uh-huh.
like ultimately, if you don't have interesting structures, interesting characters, interesting creatures, ways of traveling, then like doesn't matter how big your world size is if there's nothing going on.
Yeah. Like perfect example, Red Dead 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, beautiful game. They do good with leaving open space because it's like
Mm.
good to look at, and there's animals running around it and stuff. Like there's always stuff packed in there despite it really just being open space.
Yeah, I think it like I said, it's a difficult thing to do. And I think for me, like I'm trying to remember all the games that I've seen recently that just seemed so similar where like it was I think the first thing that kicked it off was Legend of Zelda, right? It was
Yes.
what's the name of the game? Help me out.
Which one, the one that just came out or the
No,
one
no,
prior
no,
to
it's
it?
predecessor.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, right? I think that was like where it started, and then
Uh-huh.
there's been the Pokemon games, and the overworlds look exactly the same, where it's just like green fields and mountains that just goes on
Yeah.
and on and on. And I was like, man, someone has to add something new to this because
Uh-huh.
it's no longer the wow factor of having a massive map has sort of gone away to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, like as long as there's stuff in it, then it's all worthwhile. But I feel like you can't get away with saying, "Look at how big our map is," if there's nothing in
Uh-huh.
there.
You also can run into the problem like Far Cry, if you're familiar with the Far Cry games at all, where it's got this this giant open map. There's lots of stuff to do, but it's the same thing. It's like
Oh,
climb a tower. Okay, go 5 feet, climb a tower. Okay, fight these pirates in a camp. Fight these same exact pirates in another camp that's almost the same exact layout. Like
yeah,
it's like there's stuff everywhere, but it's the same thing. Once you do it like 4 times, you've done it like, all the times.
yeah. I think doing story alongside open world games is not easy
Yeah.
because you don't want to strong arm the player, but at the same time, you also want to kind of keep them on track with like the overall
Uh-huh.
story. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like the first time I played Skyrim, I intentionally blew off as many main quests as I could to become like I was like a jarl in every city.
Uh-huh.
Like everyone loved me. I did so many side quests before I actually tackled the meat of that story. So
Yeah.
by the time I did, I won't say I was overpowered, but I was definitely prepared. Where like I'd fought so many dragons by that point. Every city loved me. Like, I had as many followers as you could possibly have. I got a mod that lets you bring your followers to your house
Uh-huh.
and leave them there, and they'll like stay there and like do random work around the house. So that way it feels like you actually have like a massive party, but that way
Yeah.
also you don't have to risk your characters dying if you have them with you 24/7 365.
Uh-huh.
And that was a lot of fun. Um, but I totally understand like where you want to have that open world, but you also don't want to make it so that way you just sort of get lost and you're not even
Yeah.
focusing on the story anymore.
That's kind of what playing the new Zelda. I mean, they recycled the same map, but they kind of remixed it. So there's this really nice balance of like walking through the world and being like, "Oh, I remember this. I remember playing this 6 years ago," and which I can't believe it's been six
I
years,
can't believe it's been 6 years since that either.
but it's really nice to like go back to these areas. Like I went back to like the cliff that you stand on in the beginning of the first open world Zelda, where you like walk out of that cave and you run up to that cliff and it shows you like the whole
Oh
world.
yeah.
Yeah, I went back there and you can pretty much do the same thing, and it's like really nothing's really changed that much, but um, there's something nice about revisiting it. It's like having a like an open world map be recycled and be revisited in a way.
Yeah, I had no
But
idea that that was a thing for this new game.
yeah, it's the same exact map, but I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's really nice to like walk around in a like a remixed version of this map that you're kind of familiar with.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, like when Breath of the Wild came out, I don't remember hearing people complaining about there not being enough to do. I
Yeah.
think that game was like the best possible outcome for an open world Zelda game where like it hit at a time when everyone was ready for something new, but it was close. It had enough familiar elements in it where people weren't like furious or taken aback at all the new changes. And look,
Uh,
fast forward 6 years and people were chomping at the bit to get their hands on this game that's going to be similar to Breath of the Wild instead of necessarily similar to the retro games.
Speaking of that, I saw here. I just pulled this up. I saw this a little bit ago on Twitter before I even started, or before we even started recording here. Small Ant on Twitter, which you might
Okay,
be familiar
I
from
think
his
I've
YouTube
heard the
videos.
name. Yeah.
He does like Mario 60, or not Mario 64. I think he used to do Mario 64. He does like speedrunning and stuff. Um, 8 hours ago, he tweeted, "I have 100%ed Tears of the Kingdom after 139 hours. There are 1,000 Koroks, 153 shrines, 120 light roots, 509 pictures, so 509 like things that you need to take a picture of, 228 recipes, 253 quests, 18 memories, 135 armor upgrades, 250 bosses, and 81 Hudson signs, which is a side quest where you help this guy hold a sign up. Like you build a little like structure so you can finish reinforcing the sign,
That's insane.
and that's on top of like doing all the towers to unveil the map, all the dungeons, the whole main quest line, getting the Master Sword, getting the paraglider, like on top of like just like the core stuff.
Yeah, that's wild. Did they one of the few things I remember about the first game was every time that you needed new information downloaded onto your little tablet thing,
Yeah.
how long it took the information to
Uh,
drip off of the little thing. Did they fix that?
Sort of. Um, it's definitely not as bad. I don't know if you care about spoilers at all, or at least spoilers for the first couple minutes.
I mean, for the new game,
Yeah.
eh, eh.
It just to keep it brief, because
Yeah.
it is very similar. There are shrines again, like very
Mhm.
similar stuff there, and of course there is a their own version of the Great Plateau. There's a new like Great Plateau-esque environment that you start in,
Right.
where you go around and you get your new powers. When you walk into the shrines to get the powers granted, and you know how you'd put the tablet down and wait for the thing to drip. Now instead, the second you walk in, they go, "Here's the power. All right, now start using it." Like it's literally like a 3 second thing where they're like, "Here's the power. All right, go do the shrine now."
They listened to the critique.
Yeah, it's very very quick. So
That was one of the few things that I remembered about the game was just like
Yeah,
whenever I'd watch somebody play part of it, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this takes forever.
yeah, I revisited it with Master Mode, the first one, while waiting for this new one to come out, and it just takes so long.
It
I'm just like, come
does.
on, I don't even want to do this quest line. I want to get off of this thing and
I
start playing the
know.
game.
In my research of Dungeons and Dragons monsters and creatures, there are some pretty spooky, scary things on that list, right?
Yes.
And obviously, since we're both from the Midwest, I'm sure you've seen these things before. House centipedes. So,
Centipedes, yes.
house centipedes, I called these things silverfish like my entire
Yes.
life. I was completely incorrect. That is a misnomer. They
Oh, they're
aren't
not?
silverfish. They actually kill silverfish. I didn't know
Oh.
this. So, I found out about these guys because obviously, like when you're a kid, they freak you out. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
they run
scary.
around, they got a lot of legs, and they're really fast. But what I did not know about these guys is that they are actually the unsung heroes of house pests. So I will read from a WebMD article about house centipedes, which is interesting. The house centipede, Scutigera cleoptrata, is the most common centipede found in the U.S. These centipedes are sometimes referred to as hundred-leggers due to their many pairs of legs. House centipedes are usually about an inch or two long. Bodies are divided into 15 segments. Blah 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 blah. House centipedes have a pair of legs called forcipules right below their mouths, converted to carry out pincer-like actions. They use these pincer-like legs to discharge a venomous sting as their prey or use it for self-defense. I didn't know they had a venomous sting.
Interesting.
And their weird design is kind of interesting since they look the same from the front or the back. It confuses their enemies. The pair of legs at the end of the centipede's body is very long and resembles the antenna on the front. This makes it tough for a centipede's prey to differentiate the front from the rear. Although they can look disgusting to some, they don't harm humans. On the contrary, they help you by preying on other common household pests, such as cockroaches, silverfish, fire brats, carpet beetle larvae, spiders, termites, bedbugs, and other small arthropods. So these things kill spiders,
Huh.
which I didn't know. Their long legs allow them to run fast as they chase their prey, pounce on them, and wrap their long spindly legs around them, preventing them from escaping.
Wow.
So what I found out, these things are like the lions of the bug world, because they
Huh.
just never stop hunting. They're
Do they-
always on the hunt for house pests.
I doubt this says anything about it, but do they go after wolf spiders? Because that's like wolf spiders are very similar in how they do their like hunting. They are made to like run around and like they're essentially like you said they're like lions of this little insect like niche or community.
Now I want to see. Now I want to see a fight between a house centipede and a wolf spider to see who would win. Put them in an arena like a Beyblades arena and just
Yeah.
see who wins. Let her rip, and you just throw the bugs inside and see what happens. I don't even know what the heck is a fire brat. I have to look at this now.
Huh.
I don't know what a fire brat is. Are those tiny little red guys that you see like outside? Like if you
Oh,
look
like the
really
little
close.
tiny, yeah.
I've always wondered what
No.
those things were called. Oh no,
They
these
look
things look
like-
prehistoric fire brats.
I'm gonna say these look just like silverfish.
What are the little red bugs outside? Mr. Terminal, let's see.
I think
Oh, okay,
that
hold
The
on.
little red guys, I think, are technically spiders.
Really?
They're like mites. I think they're called mites.
Are they mites?
Yeah, I think they're mites.
Interesting.
Yeah, mites.
Okay.
I just realized why I know how they're called mites. Did you play Grounded by any chance?
I have not played it yet.
It's good. It's a great little game. No, one of the common mites are one of the common enemies. That's why I know what they're called now. Because I was just thinking about it. I was like, oh yeah, they're mites. They're mites. I kill them all the time. They're mites.
Okay. Didn't they just add some stuff to that game recently?
Yeah, they added new bosses, but it's kind of weird because they're not story progression bosses. They're just like optional side bosses. And they're a little bit out of the way, so I'm kind of like I'm a little confused like why I'd go fight them unless I just wanted to play more of the game. There doesn't seem to be like a real good incentive to fighting them.
Oh gosh, talking about bugs in video games, I know that it's been so overhyped for so long, but I am so dying to play Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Yes.
I cannot wait for that. And like I understand that people are upset that the game isn't out right now. But what I have learned over years of watching other AAA companies do the mistake of is release a game too soon. I
Yes.
would rather them take their time and finish the freaking game rather than release the game in stages without any optimization. Like, I feel
Uh-huh.
like AAA companies are just releasing games in whatever state they are by an arbitrary deadline, and then, like, it doesn't even matter if the game's finished when they release it because of pre orders. Like,
Yeah.
people should just stop doing pre orders to force them to finish the game before they release it.
That's been like a really big issue recently. Like, especially with PC ports. Like, I know the new Star Wars didn't run, like, it ran terribly on computers because they released it early. Like, I'm trying to think what else came out recently, but like the last like 4 or 5 like big AAA games that have come out have been terrible because they just push them out too early.
Yeah, and to be fair, like it's a company, and companies are going to do company things, and it's like
Yeah.
if they know that they have a rabid fan base that will play the game no matter what, or like streamers whose livelihoods depend on them playing the newest games, you can't not play some of these games if you want to stay on top of the trends, which is really unfortunate
Uh-huh.
because it's almost like you're being forced to play a game that's not good yet. Like
Yeah.
at that point you're a beta tester. Like I don't
Uh-huh.
understand. I don't
You gotta
understand.
pay too to be a beta tester now.
Yeah, pretty much. You have to pay to beta test for them and find all
Yeah.
the problems with the game. And like, I've always been a proponent of PC gaming. Just because
Uh-huh.
obviously I have one and I prefer it to most consoles. But games are getting so massive now that like, it's eventually we're gonna reach a point when it's gonna be like, you remember when the PS4 came out? And you realized that you could only have like 3
Yeah.
AAA games on your PS4 at the
Uh,
same time because of
my
storage problems.
Speaking of that, I have my PS4 pretty much right in front of me. I have like a 1 terabyte drive that just hangs out.
Yeah,
That's like set on top of the PS4 because there's not enough room in the system to do anything.
no, not at all. And like that's a design thing that I never understood how they didn't think that through.
Yeah.
Like if these are the sorts of games that are going to be added to your store or are going to be purchasable by your fan
Uh,
base at some point, how do you not realize, how do you not average out what the average size of one of these games is before you create your storage system for your console? It's like that seems like it should be
yeah.
relatively early on in the process of like how much
I
power is this bad boy gonna need to play these games?
I think the problem is they put the PS4 out and didn't really expect people to be making these giant games, and then you have something like Call of Duty roll around and
Oof.
it technically be 3 games in one
Yeah,
and be like 100 something gigabytes.
yeah. And I haven't even had a PS4 for that long.
Uh-huh.
But I tell you what, like the experience of trying to like every time I wanted to play something new, like deleting 3 things was
Uh-huh.
so annoying. Like every time I wanted to play something new, it was like, well, I guess I got to get rid of these games now. If I want to play them in the next month and a half, I'll have to re-download everything and shuffle things around. It's like playing a game that has bad like storage, like inventory.
Uh-huh.
like I have too many items and not enough inventory
You
space.
gotta pause every couple seconds and start reorganizing everything.
Ah, it's so annoying. Yeah, like the tile set inventories where you have to actually like
Yes.
rotate stuff to fit like Tetris.
Uh-huh.
It's the digital equivalent of like cramming clothes into a suitcase and like moving stuff around so you can just barely clip the thing closed.
Yeah.
All right. So this last question I have for you is something that I'm trying to ask my guests who I have on the podcast more often because
All right.
I find that it's always an interesting answer. Over the last couple years, what is a piece of media, be it video game, book, movie, literally could be anything? What is a
Gosh.
piece of impactful media? What's a cool thing that you found in the last couple years that you've really latched onto?
Well, looking at the big picture, I gotta go for big ones here first. I think Critical Role in general has just been a big impact for anybody,
Mm,
for like the D&D space at least. Um, uh, Big impact wise though.
yeah.
Gosh. Um, Man, I'd really have to think about that. You know what is good that's always been impactful? Are you familiar with Siva Gunner at all?
Oh, wait a second. Is that the music
Yes,
person?
it's the meme music.
Okay, so
It's the quote
I
unquote high quality video game rips.
I fell for one of the tricks years ago, and my friend was so embarrassed that I fell for it. I can't. It was during someone's. It was like, okay. So I remember what it was. So it was during. It was in the background of a terminal montage video, and
Uh,
it was the Angry Birds theme song, but it was
mhm,
in like a a really old style like chip tune version.
uh,
And I was like, because the when you looked it up, it has like a Kirby or like a Yoshi Island. There was some weird thing about the logo where I was like, the Kirby people stole this from Angry Birds, or Angry Birds stole it from
uh,
Kirby. And my friend was like, dude, it's Siva Gunner. Like
yeah,
they that's their whole thing. I was like,
that's the whole joke.
oh. Because I was like, I know this tune. I've heard it somewhere. It can't be from a Kirby game. And then I looked it up and I was like, this is the Angry Birds song. What is
Yeah,
it doing here? And he's like, dude, that's the whole thing. That it's a
that's
joke.
yeah.
It's like, oh.
Oh boy, some of those are really good too. You know what else I will say? And I was actually just listening to one of these today. Is I've been listening to, which has always been impactful, is the Chris Chan documentary. Are you aware of Chris Chan at all?
Oh, wait a second. I think I have heard of him, but this is like a video essay type thing, right?
Yes. So I have been watching I've been listening to the comprehensive history, the Genu Samuel one,
Okay.
which is every episode is about 40-45 minutes.
Dang.
Uh, I just listened to episode 75.
Holy crap.
I have listened to all of them.
Wow.
Um, they're just now starting to get into events that like I remember happening, but it's always interesting to hear what happened.
I would say that that's one thing that I'm super impressed with about people in our age range that I wouldn't have anticipated when I was younger
Uh,
is like the fact that our age group actually enjoys doing deep dives and research and watching video essays on
uh-huh.
topics that aren't academic related but are
Yeah,
delivered in an academic fashion. It's like
uh-huh.
because people are allowed to just go crazy with their passion projects and make a video essay about literally anything and someone will
Uh-huh.
find it interesting.
They're great, like to put on while you're doing something else too. Like
Mhm.
they're just great to like turn on in the background while you're doing something. Then I mean, it's always interesting to actually listen to them, but they're just nice background noise too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's time for us to wrap up the podcast episode
Yep.
here at the bottom of this bottomless. Well, I just now realized how does that work? How are we
Uh,
at the bottom of something that is by definition bottomless?
don't worry about it. You can't go through the actual well. You have to take the elevator to get
There's
through.
an elevator.
Yeah, there's a back room here. This is where we do all the plumbing.
Oh, this is like a service elevator.
Yeah, this is a service elevator back here.
Oh, okay. What are we sitting on top of? What's at the bottom of this?
You don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't.
Okay.
I tend to not turn the lights on in here. I don't really want to know what's actually down here.
Okay, delightful. I'm just gonna take the elevator and head out. And
Yep.
by the way, if you do happen to find an exit anywhere, let me know because we both need to find an escape from this building that we can't escape. So let me
Yeah.
know if you find an exit, but don't tell the bosses because we don't want to get fired. That
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, so that's going to do it for this episode of the Morphing Tower podcast. Thank you so much, Dylan, for being a guest on the podcast, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.